So today's session, as mentioned, is dedicated to Wagon utilization. But before we start, we have a quick poll scheduled to see the representation of participants. So I would like to launch it right now, and please respond. Hope that you can see it. Right, around 50 persons already voted. So let's give it a few more seconds. All right, looks like the participation of Arius is prevailing in this session. And let's wrap it up and continue with for what you actually dialed in this meeting. So I'm very happy to welcome today's speakers, Andrea and Christoph. Maybe you can say one sentence about yourself. What's your job position? And then I will hand over to you and you can start with the actual knowledge transfer. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome from my side as well. Hello, Christoph. It's nice to see you again. A few words about me. I'm working for Rail Cargo Austria, so we are Wagon Keeper and as well as RU. And I have the pleasure to represent Rail Cargo Austria also in the UIC Wagon User Study Group. And I'm happy to contribute to this webinar. How about you, Christoph? What can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. Christoph Garisch. I'm working for UIC, as you might notice from the picture. And I'm working as senior advisor for Wagon utilization. And this is mainly driven by our work to improve the GCU, the General Contract of Use for wagons. And we want to give a deep dive in wagon utilization, showing why is wagon utilization relevant for daily business, and then show what is the legal framework for the wagon utilization and what is the part of UIC. Is this and I'm happy to show today what UIC is doing for the improvement of wagon utilization in Europe, and how you may contribute yourself if you want to in this work of UIC. So this is what is about the 90 minutes to come, and there's room for your questions, of course. So this is the agenda for today. The program show why is damage management in daily business relevant. How is this general contract updated, and what is the working? How does the work look like in the UIC Wagon working groups? Maybe one word before we enter into the subject. Wagon utilization is specific Why? Other than in other terms of transport, the wagon is not accompanied by a driver. The wagon is running throughout Europe. The freight wagon is running throughout Europe, and the owner barely sees the wagon only for the great maintenance terms. And the rest of the time, the wagon is handled by several railway undertakings, and so the whole damage management has to be based on rules, and this is why rules are so relevant for wagon utilization. The wagon is not accompanied, and so there's a big need in the sector to have rules that work properly, that are well fitted to the manifold situations a wagon can enter. Yeah, this is the starting point for what we try to do, show damage management in normal business, in daily business.
So can we have a look at this maybe with a case study? What happens if there is a damage to a wagon?
I'm happy you are asking, Andrea. I just prepared a slide, wagon damagement in daily business. We have a case study from Switzerland. We can flip through it. What you can see on the right-hand side is two springs of a wagon, Tara spring and load spring, in the same winding direction. And so this is not as it...
And I take it that's not good.
That's not good. They are supposed to be in the opposing winding direction. So
Okay.
this is a has been detected in daily business, and this was an RU. Here something is not good. And if you now check the set of rules given in the GCU, yeah, you as an RU, you are supposed to check and to do what is written in the GCU. You find no code available. That's a pity. You have the GCU. This is an extract of the general contract of use, the so-called damage catalog.
But it is defined in the GCU that they should be in opposing winding directions, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
defined as you here. It's a technical painting. We are here in the damage catalog of Appendix 9, the famous Appendix 9 of GCU collects all the damages that may arise to a wagon. And 2.5 is on the springs. And we see that in the technical painting, coils should be wound in opposite directions. They are not here in practice. And the amazing thing is that you find damages, but not the situation we find here. The GCU is kind of lacking a rule now for this case.
So basically in this part of the GCU, you have codes. Then what is the problem? Then I see the measure that which is to take.
Yeah.
And what is the last category?
It's I was too quick. This is the class of damage. It's the Fehlerklasse in German.
How severe the damage is?
Yeah, how severe the damage is. And 5 is very severe, so you have to detach the wagon. This may not continue to run. And the 4 is a little lower. It may run a bit. If here we see only the K, this stands for model K, and model K is defined in GCU saying...
So it's also a measure that has to be taken.
It's a measure that has to be taken. This means may run for one more time and then has to be unloaded and fixed. Hier ist es, genau.
Okay, so there isn't a definition for this problem that they found here. What did the RU do then?
Yeah, lacking a code in the GCO, it was a railway undertaking in Switzerland. They next step, they checked in the Swiss damage catalog. This exists too. The Swiss Federal Office of Transport issues damage catalog, and there is a damage described, and it has a number that is also starting with 2.5. I don't show it here, but so now the RU takes this code, and the wagon keeper, WK is wagon keeper, is informed, and the RU detaches the wagon, transfers the wagon for unloading, organizes the ability to run operation. That means fixing the damage with a mobile repair. And then the problem arises. The wagon keeper accuses that the wagon has been detached for no good reason. And it has been for bad reason, even because it's not described in the GCO. So, and this is just to show how easily you enter into difficult situation in daily business in damage management, and you have the several layers that rule your work as an RU or as a keeper. And so this is why we want to, this is a starting point for what we want to show today. If you have an application problem in daily business, you should understand the legal situation, the different layers of law and treaty, and you should understand how the GCO contract can be amended. If you, at the end, you think the GCO is lacking a rule for this situation, you should have an idea of how can I amend the GCO to fill this gap in the GCO.
Okay, so what regulations are there? How can I find out what the RU or the wagon keeper have to know?
Yeah, at the core of for these legal rules, we have the general contract for use of wagons, the GCU, as we say, the abbreviation. And to understand this contract, which is unique in a way, we want to show how it is embedded in the legal framework, the legal layers, as I say. And the first legal layer is international law. And as we will see in a few seconds, the international law is not very extensive on wagon utilization. It asks for a private contract.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the international law. What law are we talking about here?
Yeah, COV is the abbreviation for, it's French. It stands for Conditions utilisation véhicule. And it stands for the liability rules and obligations of RU, also railway undertaking, and WK wagon keepers.
Okay.
And this CUV is it is an appendix to the COTIF.
I see. Okay.
The COTIF is international railway law. And many do not know, even it is going to Iraq, Afghanistan. The geographical reach is quite far. And
So
you
it's
have,
not only European countries that are parties to this set of rules.
yeah, that's true. Even Ukraine has signed, also the state of, also international law is state law. You have the parliament of the country ratifying, accepting the law. And this in the green countries the parliament has said, yes, we accept this international law being valid for our country. This is valid for us. And this is not bound to the gorge. Also, you have the Russian gorge, which is larger than the European normal gorge. And international law is not bound to the gorge. It's a convention of rules that is ruled in state law, you know. And the many colors here, important is the green one. And then you have specifics. This is going too far for our
So
webinar.
the green countries accepted all the parts of COTIF.
Genau.
Okay.
And within COTIF, CUV, the wagon utilizer, COTIF is also about passenger trains and the relation between infrastructure and railways. This is a very large package of law, and CUV is a small part in it, ruling the utilization of cargo wagons.
Okay, so let's have a look at that one.
Yeah, it's a very small picture, I admit. This
Are those
is
the first few pages of the contract, or
this is the whole CUV. What
the
you
whole
see,
thing? It's 6 pages.
it's 6 pages, and the second
That's
is
not
empty.
a lot.
Yeah, this is just to give you an idea of how short this international railway law for wagon utilization is. It's 4 pages, and it's mainly definitions. What is an RU? What is a keeper? And it says at the end, all the rest, the technical questions. For example, what do I do with a wagon where the winding direction is wrong? These technical and operational questions, the law says you have to agree yourselves. All railway undertakings and all keepers have to arrange for these technical rules for themselves.
So we would be in need of a lot of bilateral contracts.
Yeah, if you imagine Rail Cargo Austria would have to make a contract with each keeper.
And also with each wagon user, because we have wagons of our own, we are keeper as well.
Yeah, you are a keeper. Yeah, you are in the double role, of course. You are a railway undertaking doing the traction, and you are a keeper of a proper fleet. Wie sagt man?
Yeah, that's right. We have a fleet of wagons, so that would be a lot of contracts to take, and a lot of set of rules then with each party.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you start having different rules, so Rail Cargo Austria is handling a wagon from VTG different than a wagon from, I don't know, Ermeva.
That would be quite impossible to manage, yes.
Yeah, this is you cannot handle it. So this is the situation the international law is creating, asking railways and keepers to create proper agreements. And this would end in, if you start the procedure, it would end in a chaotic situation. And this is
so what happened that we have a harmonized set of rules for the wagon utilization?
Yeah, if you want to create on a private level, and this was, we are now not any longer in the state law situation, but now keepers and RUs had to find a way. Now we are on the level of private law. And to avoid the chaotic situation, the GCU was exactly the answer. The sector represented by the big associations, we are seeing that later, said we need a uniform, harmonized rules. We cannot manage to have different rules for different keepers and the same. We need a harmonized rules, and this is the idea behind creating the GCU, General Contract of Utilization. Yes. Genau.
So what exactly is the general contract for use of wagons? What does it contain?
Yeah, on a technical, I can show the contract. It's quite a big one.
You have it with you? Oh,
Always,
wow.
always. The contract, if I want to make a technical description of what is this book about, it's a private contract and it's on rights and obligations of RUs, also railway undertakings and keepers, including questions of liability. Who pays in case of a damage to the wagon, or as you see in the Gotthard example, who pays the Gotthard accident causing big damages to the infrastructure? Who pays for damages caused by a wagon? So this is all part of this contract. And from the main part, the main contract has only 18 pages. This is a bit like this. Professor Freise used to show. This is the main contract, and all the heavy rest is technical. It's the technical rules for the technical inspection of wagons and what to do when you detect a damage, who does what. And this is all the rest of the big booklet.
Can you tell us how many signatories there are or partners to this contract there are?
Yeah, I'm happy to share very recent figures. We had the joint committee, which is the governing body of GCU, I describe later. And then the trustee is regularly informing about the status quo. And what we see here is the figures of November, also very recent. Right now, 786 companies in total have signed the contract. And interestingly, we have in April this year, there was the first Ukrainian wagon keeper who signed the GCU. This was due to grain transports going to Lithuania, I think.
I see.
Genau.
So it has quite a big reach, this contract.
Yeah, and it is quite a club. It's a big. You would need a big conference hall to invite all the signatories, and it is a good practice to have the governance of the contract. This is in the hands of the big wagon or the big associations. We have We have UIP. This is the International Wagon Owner Association. We have ERFA, European Rail Freight Associations. This is where the newcomer railways or the interests of newcomer railways are bundled, like Captrain or the very fast growing number of private railway undertakings, and UIC. And UIC is traditionally covers the interests of the former state-owned railways, but not only state railways. We see this at the end, and we start opening up for non-state railways. UIC is the partner that has the biggest part in the effective work on the GCU. We see that all the working groups that treat the GCU or that update the GCU, keep him in line with political changes in Europe and technical changes in the norms. This is done by UIC working groups.
I see.
Genau.
So can we just summarize, why is the GCU important and what is it all about?
Yeah, good questions. If you want to have one takeout or one lessons learned of today's webinar, here it is. This is when you have to answer, when your boss is asking you, what is the GCU about? You can say it ensures legal interoperability in freight transport in Europe. Yeah, it regulates uniformly the interaction between more than 280 wagon keepers and 500 railway undertakings. And so this is a good answer to your boss. And if your colleagues are asking what is it about, tell them it minimizes the complexity of bilateral agreements and promotes consistency and efficiency in the utilization of wagons across the COTIF railway network, we should say. It's also for Ukraine, genau.
Okay. So basically the GCU has all the answers to the or should have most of the answers to the questions. What do I have to do as a railway undertaker? What do I have to know as a railway wagon keeper? Who does what in the case of a damage? Can we go a bit into detail? What let's say from the view of the railway undertakers, can we summarize a certain set of rules, so to speak?
Yeah, the rules for railways, there are plentyfold, and we do not have to go in deep, but to just show we have around 10 heavy duties for a railway that are laid down in the GCU. The first one sounds crazy. You have to accept wagons when you are a GCU railway undertaking. You may not refuse them for no good reason. You may refuse in very specific situations when the wagon is completely damaged or something. You can say, no, I don't want to take this wagon. But the general interest is to have a fluent traffic in Europe. So you accept wagons and refuse only in very, very exact constellations. In RU is supposed to be very careful with a wagon and not to ruin it, and to do all the inspections, taking into account this famous Appendix 9, the damage catalogue. And yeah, interesting obligation number 4, be prompt. The periods of carriage may not be too long, even for empty wagons. And of course, yeah, this is some of the rules. The GCU entered into force 2006, and today it sounds crazy that we have a rule saying you need a wagon letter Wagenbrief, lettre de wagon, to transport an empty wagon. This was not the standard case in 2006. Yeah. We had mainly the state-owned fleet was transported without any paper. They just
Seems unimaginable today.
Yeah, today unimaginable. In former times, it was like an internal movement, no requirements for empty wagons needed. Now it is the obligation to do it properly. This means Article 14 states you need to have a wagon letter.
Sounds about right.
Then quite recently, we entered the obligation to inform the wagon keeper on the use of their wagon. This is mainly the information on mileage. You should avoid handing over the wagon to a third party, which is not entitled to use the wagon. This is a good legal principle. And yeah, this is very specific. GCU partner. When you have a non-GCU wagon and bring it into traffic, you as the one who brings it into traffic are treated like the GCU keeper and have to follow the. But this is
so that the partners to the contract have actually a contract with somebody who got the wagon into the use of these partners. Exactly.
But this is, we will see later when we show how many, do we have the slide with the number of, we have practically all wagons are covered by GCU today. There is no such thing like a non-GCU wagon. This is very rare.
Okay, but the principle is good.
Genau. Number 9, inform the wagon keeper on damages detected in your custody. This is a very big issue in daily business. We have, since wagons run for years without big maintenance stops, the number of damages that are detected in traffic, en route, as we say, is quite considerable. And then the GCU says, take this information to the keeper on a damage shall be treated with a defined protocol. The protocol as described in Appendix 4 of the GCU. Yeah, and then number 10 is becoming a bit odd. It is the obligation that a IU is obliged to restore ability to run for a detached wagon, for detached wagons. This is a whole scheme of breakdown assistance, I would like to say. It's not proper maintenance, but breakdown assistance. When a wagon from Hamburg has been detached, for example, in northern Italy, because there was a damage to the axle box, the railway that is having the wagon is obliged to restore the ability to run so that this wagon is able to go back to the keeper to Hamburg or wherever he wants
to have a larger maintenance if needed. It goes back to the keeper then.
Genau. And this is now at the heart of a big, it's a big issue now in the European discussion, because restoring ability to run sounds a bit like maintenance. And
it sounds a bit like maintenance. So that's the question: is it actually maintenance, or is it not yet maintenance, and therefore can it be governed by these rules? But that's another question you're opening up here, Christian.
Yeah, this is a big issue now. Is a railway undertaking entitled to do de facto maintenance? Yes or no? But
But basically, this set of rules to restore the ability to run is quite important for the use of the wagons, because keeps the amount of time that the wagon is out of use short. So it's basically a set of rules to get a wagon usable again if there is a smaller problem with it.
Genau. To have a flawless, quite flawless flow of the wagons in Europe, and not to forget them in case of a damage. Exactly.
So this is quite a complicated set of rules, and I'm seeing and hearing from your notes that it has been refined over the years since its implementations. Shall we change the perspective and have a look at how the GCU is refined or updated?
Yeah, I like to change the perspective on the updating procedure of the GCU. And in fact, we see the main work is lying on UIC working groups. Here, WG stands for working groups. And we have the one for Appendix 7 and 10 GCU. This is on this is the rules for restoring ability to run. Appendix 9, we already know from the discussion. This is the damage catalog. And 11 is on pictograms, the markings on the wagons. And in these two working groups, there's a lot of updating work done. For example, when you have a new component on the wagon, the telematic devices, when they are new, they need a damage code in case of a damage. And how do we define damages and the measures to be taken?
So these working groups work on how the technical what's the word? Well, the new processes that are developed technically, how they get into the GCU.
Exactly. Yeah, new challenges, new devices. What do we do with them? Is it how important is how severe is the danger for train safety, and then the follow-up measures. And we see a third working group here, wagon damage settlement. This is interesting. This is quite new. Andrea, what can you tell me about this working group?
Yeah, it is a somewhat new working group. It's based on a group that is called the Group of Lucerne, where some of the former state railways decided to get together and talk about issues that arise when there are wagon damages, especially in the process of settling wagon damage concerns. And yeah, it's been a few months that we turned into an official UIC working group where we deal with these issues specifically. So the members there are expert on claims settlement. They have a certain expertise on the application of the GCU. And with this expertise, we also can define where there are maybe issues with the GCU, where there is a problem that isn't defined in the GCU or cannot be defined by the GCU. So these are the topics that we would deal with. The daily business of claims settlement and how can we make the GCU better in that regard.
Great. So welcome to the club of working groups.
Thank you.
Yeah, good success with it. And later on, you will tell us that it is possible to join the group.
Yes, I think
for
we'll come
those
back to
who are
this
interested.
a bit later. But first of all, let's have a look at how the GCU itself is updated. So we have these 3 working groups that work on proposals, I guess.
Yeah, amendment proposals. We say trying to amend the GCU, make it better, and this is not then after being worked. And in the UIC working groups, we have already representatives of the other associations. So we have at the starting point, we start together with UIP and ERFA. Oops, then the next step will be the quality gates, as we say. We have an approval needed for every amendment. It's the Wagon user study group on UIC side, but the other associations have their proper approval groups. And after being approved by all the associations, the proposal to amend, for example, this spring winding direction issue might end up in the joint committee of the 3 associations, with UIC and UIP having 5 voting rights. And since this was defined in 2006, ERFA was small. They have only 2 voting rights. It does not really cover today's balance of business. ERFA should have more voting rights today, but never mind. That is,
maybe there will be an amendment process for that. We'll
yeah,
see.
maybe. But these are the hardest one to tackle. Okay, and
True.
then this joint committee will regularly, in the beginning of June, will decide, yes, we think this is a good amendment proposal, and then it is passed on to the trustee. The GCU has a trustee sitting in Brussels. He is the administration of the contract lies on the shoulders of the trustee. And he sends out the amendment proposals to the signatories, because we have a private contract here. It's not, and it's the signatories, the main stakeholder, and the associations. They just do a preparing work, but they are not the principals. The principals.
But they basically represent the signatories as well.
Yeah, they represent them, but the voting on an amendment lies at the signatories.
Lies with, I think, yeah.
Lies with.
So the signatories, of course, have to get a chance to have a look at the amendment as well and decide if they still want to stay with the contract.
And as of today, all the amendments are sent out for consideration, assessment, 1st of July. And as for now, we have 3 months time to say, yes, it's good for me, or no, I'm opposing, I don't like this amendment. It's 3 months. It will be 2 months in future, because it's very long time. But once all the signatories, or most of the signatories say, yeah, also for me, the amendment is okay, then the new contract version enters into force in the 1st of January next year. And then we have a new version. And so the GCO always keeps you busy. Also, as a signatory, you are always supposed to know what has changed recently. You have to stick to it, So, but that's how the GCU is updated. And as you see, the main work is done on the left-hand side. In the amendment proposal is worked on in the UIC working groups. There is practically no amendment coming from another source.
Okay. Well, it is possible, though. I think the members or parties to the contract can can put their amendment proposals forth to the groups, the quality gates as well, but it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen that often. It is, yeah, a good point. It is possible. You need 25 companions or 25 supporters.
Supporters, yeah.
When you say, I want to change the damage protocol and I want to integrate a new box saying, for example, the name of the workshop where the wagon is now, for example, you need 25 supporters, so supporter signatories, and then you can start without the UIC Wagon working groups. I can't remember one case when this happened in real life. Okay, we are talking a lot now and we want to have time for questions. So we are now entering the third and last chapter of our webinar.
We'll have a look at the working groups, right?
You know, more into now it's a deep dive in the working group if you want to.
Maybe shortly and then go to questions.
Yeah, I think. And the key element of, so if you imagine your contribute in these working groups, it's always having the representatives of the 3 railway associations. We are talking in the working group. It's on railway jargon. Yeah, the side bearer and all this technical jargon is very important to be aligned with the norms and etc. to have the proper words. And in fact, we have no mother tongue speaking English in our working groups. And this is why we have the working languages, German and French. Because, yeah, we want to be very precise in our language, and this is mother tongue level, of course. So if you consider working with us, it's in German and in French. We have consecutive translation. I don't know if you know this. This is not simultaneous, but after a sequence in German, it will be translated into French. So it takes a bit longer if for the workshop. We have about 8 meeting days per working group. I think the claim settlement will have less, 4, or?
Yes. We have we usually meet 2 times per year, and a certain amount of time of the meeting would be specified for working group topics. We'll have to see how it develops if we need more meetings than that. For the Wagon damage settlement group, the members of the group of Lucerne are fixed members, but it is possible for other participants to join. At the moment, we defined it with maximum 3 other participants, but this might change depending on how it develops. And the people who want to join should have a certain expertise with claims settlement. Also, it would be good if they have an understanding of the German language, because in this working group, our working language is German. Mm-hmm. And of course, we would need an application or a registration.
Yeah.
But it's possible to work with us. We have basically two meetings per year, and we will see if we'll need more than that or not.
Okay. And the last thing, each working group has a charter, but they are not published. I checked it on the internet. These charters are more or less internal papers. They are not published on the website. But if you're interested, we can supply these charters, of course. So if you're interested in joining, normal UIC members can join, of course. Those who are not members, they get a special...
You speak of the UIC membership now.
Yeah. So we have these working groups, as described. Here on we have even a fourth one. It's the loading guidelines group. To be, this is the fourth and not the least important one, but it's not tied to the GCU. So in our whole description, we missed out the loading guidelines group. This is part of our Wagon department in UIC. And so we have 4 working groups treating on Wagon issues, loading guidelines, then the technical transfer inspection, Appendix 9 GCU, maintenance or restoring ability to run, Appendix 10 GCU, and then last but not least, working group on claim. No, we called it.
Yeah, it is on claims management, but it's where it's called Wagon damage settlement.
Wagon damage settlement, genau. And those of you who are not members of UIC can adhere or can contribute to the groups by a so-called basic membership. This is a door we opened to access the working groups only last year. And this basic membership.
So this is a fairly new concept, this basic membership, right?
Genau, the basic membership UIC Wagon working groups, it's called in long. And it grants access to the Wagon working groups, not to the Wagon user study group, but to the working groups. And you have regular voting rights in the Wagon working group when you adhere as a basic member. And this is possible, and it has a price. The contribution for this is 2,500 euro per year. And it's payable in March, to be precise. And those of you who are interested to adhere to one of the working groups, you're very welcome. But you should know it. You do not only give your working time, but there is a fee related to it, and it's 2,500 euro per year. This opens the door to the working groups. If you're interested, you see my personal email address, gabrisch@uic.org. And Nathalie Libardi, she is the assistant of the freight department, of the Wagon section of the freight department, UIC. So this...
Yeah, I think we come to the end of the presentation part.
Yeah.
Let's have a look if you have any questions.
Right, yeah. Many thanks for the insightful presentations. And let me pick up the questions from the chat. So I'll read those along. Also, the CUV, we have to respect the regulation 779/2019. I believe that one is about entities in charge of maintenance.
Correct. Yeah.
I guess that is a yes to the question. Right, Christoph?
Yeah,
I think
that's
the
right.
The question is whether these regulations have to be respected or not.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course, the European directives, they are they are law and they have to be fulfilled. Of course, they have to be respected. And in case of uncertainty, the law is even more relevant than the private contract. This is, you have to be compliant with the national law. Yes, that's true. And ECM is part of it.
Right, let me follow up with the second one from the chat. So every modification of GCU has also an impact on the safety. So the modifications analyzed in conformity with European Regulation 402/2012. That one is, I believe, on common safety
Methods.
Yes.
Yes, they are. I didn't prepare this, but it is a necessary check for the technical working groups. Is the risk assessment of the amendment. In fact, there are amendments that might not directly be relevant for the train safety. Yeah, but yes, the answer, every amendment proposal for technical changes is due or is obliged to have a risk assessment. This is done in the working group.
Thank you. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand. I've seen some before, but now it's gone. Andreas Mack, please.
Yes, hello. Thanks, everyone. Yes, there's a question I have. How do you think is the GCU compliant to the ECM regulation in terms of maintenance once the RU is asked to do maintenance in order to get damages repaired, and at the same time maintenance is regulated with the ECM regulation, and the keeper is with his ECM is responsible for doing that. Is this compliant?
I think that is a big discussion at the moment. It depends on how you qualify the work that is done for getting the wagon in running order again, if you say this already qualifies as maintenance or not. And at the moment, in the study group, we're waiting for explicit note from the ERA regarding this topic. But it is a big discussion, and the groups are working on a solution that there should not be a question on this on this topic anymore. So for most of the past years, the thought was this: putting the wagon back to running order does not yet qualify as maintenance as regarded by the ECM regulation, if I got it correctly. Maybe Christoph, you want to say something to that as well?
Yeah, thank you. The question is most relevant. Is it the job of the railway to do maintenance? And what I can say, this very morning I was having a call with the director of a wagon workshop in Switzerland, in Rheinfelden. I don't say more. And he told me that they already do not follow the GCU rules on en route damage repair any longer. They swiftly moved to the 100% they follow to 100% the ECM regulation. And what I'm hearing when I'm talking to people in the sector, there are more and more workshops or stakeholders that move away from the existing GCU concept. There is a how do you say it in English? It is voting by feet a bit. And the other day in November, I had a call with a railway undertaking in the Netherlands, and they do not apply the GCU rules on en route damages any longer and referring to ECM. So what we see is a very slow recognition procedure in the governance bodies, ERA and GCU Joint Committee, and we see at the same time a voting by feet by stakeholders, which goes away from the traditional GCU set of rules this is on the important part of en route damages. Yeah. Maybe I was too long with my answer, but this is an interesting phenomenon we see today.
Right. Thanks. Any other questions? Yeah, there are some comments also in the chat. What we see is the keeper taking himself the repair of the wagon in case of the RU.
I'm not sure I understand that one.
Oh, Etienne Mernhout. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Etienne.
How are you?
Will you present yourself? What has been your former role?
Please, I don't understand.
Peux-tu dire en français ce que tu veux dire?
Ah, OK. Ce que je veux dire, c'est que dans la majorité des cas que je rencontre, c'est que le détenteur prend l'initiative de faire réparer le wagon et que à ce moment-là, on n'est plus dans les règles du CU.
Okay. Thank you, Etienne. Etienne is the former head, the chair of the working group that rules the GCU maintenance appendix. And he said he's confirming that there is a voting by feet also from the keeper side, that keepers, they take the initiative they place the repair order more and more themselves in case of en route damages. Thank you, Etienne. Merci.
Thanks.
Okay,
Merci.
no problem.
Bravo.
So yeah, maybe the biggest takeaway is to really collaborate and contribute in the sector, and that these are the rules to make it work in the end. Since, as you mentioned rightfully, Christoph, at the beginning, that the owners rarely see their own wagons during a year, and only for the big maintenance works. And for that reason, it's important to have some do's and don'ts when it comes to borrowing or lending the wagons across Europe and doing international rail traffic, as most of the rail freight traffic is international by nature. So I would like to invite you all to join forces and to work on common rules to foster the freight traffic. And unless there are any other questions, let's move on to another two polls. So in the first one, we would like to see how do you like the format of these webinars? So it's about the amount of information, if this all-encompassing view on a topic is sufficient, or you would like to have a more technical discussions. In case of the latter, I would again like to invite you to join the working groups which were presented just before, but then we can of course arrange some online webinars or training sessions for more detailed information. All right, we got all around 50% of the attendees. Let's give it a few more seconds.
Number 2 is winning.
The cards have changed.
Mm.
Taking a note, yeah, that's why those polls are for. So yeah, let's wrap this one, and I'm immediately launching another poll. This one is for free text, so maybe you can tell us what you would like to hear about next time. It can be about wagons and wagon utilization, or you can choose completely different rail related topic, and we would like to get back to in near future when we organize next Fit for Freight webinars. Don't be shy. Yeah, your input is anonymous, so. Okay, more about rules. I see maybe something related to the actual legislation. ATTI and quality. GCU application. Damage wagon costs. All right, let's wrap that one as well. And if we move to the last slide, here is the overview of the UIC competence centers. So in previous years, we rearranged the UIC competencies and what do we have to offer to the sector. And this is the outcome. So 7 UIC-based competence centers plus Rail Freight Forward, the CO coalition coordinated by UIC. And in this regard, we also launched this Fit for Freight webinars to guide you through the mosaic, the complexity of the rail freight business and the world, as and also to increase the knowledge and the knowledge transfer within the sector. And I believe it's also helpful for your younger colleagues to see how it works, to who are the people behind those working groups, and then how to get more international, to exchange information and to become a better force, let's say, so that everything is running smoothly. And as a last remark, I would like to invite you for another Fit for Freight webinar taking place this Wednesday, dedicated to data exchange, and in particular data exchange related to wagon utilization. So over there we will hear about how to make all of this mentioned today in a digital format. So today we spoke about the actual contract, so the paper ruling over Wagon utilization, who is responsible for what, the claims, the liabilities, and so on. And in 2 days, on Wednesday, we'll talk about how to make it digital and automate it. So maybe one more click and there's a bubble with an invitation. So all the details are available on UIC website, and I hope that we will see you over there. So yeah, again, many thanks, Andrea, Christoph. Been a pleasure today, and many thanks to all of you for joining us today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah.